this whole cyber game is designed in such a way that it gets you started, but there is no way you can turn around. I have had actually young children themselves walking in, realizing that, ma'am, I'm not able to actually get that game off my head. Can you please help me?
The kind of complexities children are dealing with: academic, family, gaming, social media, being there, being famous, being active, yet not facing academic challenges. I mean, I think they're terribly multitasking, and I'm sure it gets to them.
Pressure of fitting in is really very high, leading to a lot of emotional and mental health challenges as well. While we were growing up, we didn't have digital games, but there were different dangers in it, and we all survived. So will your child. Don't, like, the moment the child plays 15 minutes extra, don't be that panicky that, oh my God, you're going to get addicted, this is the end of the world, your career is over. None of this.
Every human can set a limit to the gaming, right? They can try not to drown in that virtual world.
Today on the show, we're discussing the dark side of gaming, what you should be aware of if your child is gaming, what you should know of if your child is not telling you, the symptoms that you should look out for in terms of behavioral changes, and of course also the other aspects that a lot of us will not really think takes place in the gaming sphere, but a lot of other stuff that is actually going on. And as parents, as adults, as caregivers, I think it's knowledge is power, as they say. So this is a session not to just rant about things, just to expose what is really going on. And as adults, I think, and as children, I think everybody has to pick and choose their battles, but hopefully let's show you what the picture is by speaking to two people who've really been at the forefront of trying to create awareness around it.
Sonali Patnakar, who is the founder of Responsible Netism, as the name implies itself. This is what she's been working on. Nirali, cyber psychologist, and of course the founder of CyberBab. How have things changed when it comes to gaming?
Well, COVID was definitely the one that pushed many number of young people, senior people, and all types of people into the cyber world. And since this was the only way to interact with peers, gaming has taken a new dimension. I still remember early lockdown phase where every single child was online playing games with their own peers, known peers and classes, entire night, because the schools were busy figuring out how to work online. So there was no schooling happening. However, to a certain extent, it was safe because that kind of peer bonding is also required. It's just that this whole cyber game is designed in such a way that it gets you started, but there is no way you can turn around. And that's where it started becoming more and more challenging. Though it's like a one-way street. Once you are over there, you are over there. You're not coming back.
Another addition to that is children were also playing games while they were schooling. So they had parallel screens where they were playing and studying together. I wonder how much of it did work, but the gaming part did, because they connected with a whole lot of people across the globe. And I think a couple of insights to the study that we did, we saw gaming industry built a lot of hope in our children. The gaming industry is booming now and it is gradually picking up. So children look at it as a career. Children are aspiring to be gamers, game developers. Although they don't know much about it, they do see gaming as their area of expertise. And I think there is no harm exploring that, provided you understand the logic behind it, and you understand how and when you can get into it.
Around you, when it came to gaming, what did you see? Did you see a lot of students rely more on gaming, while in isolation?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, there has what I observed was that there was a significant increase in the amount of gaming during the lockdown time. because earlier while going to school, the children had like time off of phone, and they had a social life to enjoy. Now they created their social life using gaming. Like gaming has all those microphone facilities, so people are socializing on gaming platforms.
Is that still continuing? Is that become like a pattern now, Tushar?
No, there has been a difference, definitely, but it's not like it used to be before. There still are many students which are still gaming a lot, because it's not easy to just leave a habit when you are habitual to it from 2 years.
Nirali is saying exactly what you said. What kind of clients did you get, who've been
So I
struggling?
have had actually young children themselves walking in, realizing that, ma'am, I'm not able to actually get that game off my head. Can you please help me? There have been kids who come and said, could you do some hypnotherapy with me so that I can concentrate back on studies? And these all kids I've worked with have been excellent in studies. So it's not that they're looking at a different kind of recognition in the game, but it is the major attractive part was peer interaction, because that's what is very essential part of teenage, of growing up days, where you want to belong to your own community. Your game does not just be a game, now it comes with a whole big community. So there are these platforms like Discord and all, which is pre-game, during the game, post-game, and hence that arena has increased. See, while we were growing up, there was, that was the time digital games were introduced. I still remember playing that Mario game when I was very young. That was something that, actually not very young, but still that had come up at that point of time. But it was still, I had the joystick in my hand and that chip in to the device. That's about it. Once I'm out of it, we had no access to that game. But today, with all these YouTube videos and platforms like Discord and all, there is so much that even if you want, you really cannot pull yourself out of it. And it is slowly growing upon as an altogether a very different culture. Those most of them are drawn into it initially for peer interaction. Then of course it gives you that sense of achievement, because you're crossing levels, you're smart, you're getting in attention, you're getting recognition, and you're getting instant fame. So let's say if I've worked with 15 kids in last 6 months, at least 8 of them have walked in themselves, and the 7 of them would have been brought in by their parents saying that, ye sunta nahi hai, his screen time is too much, his grades are falling, or 5 or 6 would be even those who was like, parents want to tell that please isko samjhao, gaming is no longer a career, because they want to become gamers, not game developers. And a few of them who have also been victims of bullying on gaming platforms, as well as some have not realized when they themselves have become bullies. So it has been a mixed bag of audience that I've been working from last couple of years a little more extensively.
Sonali, what about you? What is the worrying trend जो दिख रहा है आपको for adults to monitor or to look out for?
So in the pandemic, we had a very wide age range of people dependent on gaming. So we had somebody from 5-year-old to somebody who's 90-year-old. The range was very wide because everybody was gaming at home, and device was the only way they could disconnect from reality. Uh, I felt it is important to understand and draw a line between dependency and addiction, because that is where the challenges were faced. I mean, every parent thinks their child is addicted. Every child feels, no, no, I'm not addicted, I'm just dependent, and you छूट जाएगी आदत थोड़ी देर में. It is no big deal to worry. While they're cribbing that their parents are more addicted to WhatsApp and other things. That's a different challenge altogether that we're dealing with. Currently, what we are seeing trends is a very thin line between gaming and gambling, where children are getting into a lot of trading. We to have children gaming through deep web, dark web, trading for skins. I mean, 2,000 रुपए pocket में money मिलता है. The child is trading with skins worth 70,000 rupees. And where is the money coming from? And then we realize that children are running bitcoins, and they're transacting with money on through various accounts inside and outside of the country. So there are very thin lines between gaming and gambling today, which have to be really critically understood so that you don't fall a prey to a lot of other gamut of crimes that exposes children to gambling.
Tushar, have you come across gambling while you play around you?
Ma'am, not exactly gambling actually. I'm well aware of the consequences if you spend money online, like in an online game. So I sort of made a pledge to myself that I won't be spending my parents' money on gaming at least. It'll be at least my money if I spend it someday. Even the companies which are making the games are encouraging students. Like Mario, like I don't remember Mario game having a competition like a rank system. Like these games have a rank system these days. I think that is what the like students are most stressed about. Like I want to be at a higher rank than the other person, or at least like there are some games which doesn't allow you to play with your friends just because your friends have a higher rank and you have a significantly lower
Yeah.
rank. So you have to so you push yourself. You game off time. You game late at night so that you can be equal to your friends so that you can game together.
That peer pressure happens, as we see even in social media and all of that. What kind of
Mhm.
repercussions do you see?
Sonali mentioned that when we were hit by pandemic, this was the only medium of interaction. Now, when we are moving forward, like I said, that any kind of change, there is a lot of resistance, and what helps is actually completely keeping it away. But unfortunately, with this, the way this whole gaming world is designed, it's very difficult to abstinate yourself from it at that young age, which is when their children are in their formative years of age. Any kind of association starts impacting your thought process, start impacting your personality. And in these instances, when, like, Tushar mentioned that there is so much pressure, said, unsaid, both. It's not like your peers are putting, but you also have a self pressure and self expectation from yourself to reach a certain level, to keep a certain standard. And because of these pressures, there's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of aggression, there's a lot of impulsivity, because of which children have landed into lots of trouble as well. Like I've had a client who, under the pressure to meet certain expectations, to be in a certain league of players, has unknowingly become himself a perpetrator, and he would use his parents' cards to take up the money and fuel the game requirements. Very young children, I'm talking about like 9 years and 10 years old. Pressure of fitting in is really very high, leading to a lot of emotional and mental health challenges as well. So the first thing to go for a toss is their food and sleep. These are troubled big time, leading to different levels of anxiety, different levels of panic, and the relationship with the parent as well. Because children have always believed that anything that we do, parental reaction will be mobile chhod do, and that's what again puts a pressure on them. Ki,
Yeah.
already I'm struggling with a peer pressure, and now I cannot even talk to my parents about it.
Tushar, have you gone through nights like this where you haven't slept and you've played the whole night?
In my hostel, I find myself guilty for the same. But in home, yeah, it sometimes the maximum I've played is till 3.
What is it like once you've had this marathon session? What do you actually feel like once you're through?
Ma'am, actually, this like my semester has ended, so I gave myself a break and I go for the gaming sessions. But otherwise, if I do it in the middle of my exams, because the exams is the most stressful time, and I can somewhat relate it to gaming as cigarettes, because when you are stressed, you smoke a cigarette. So when you are stressed, you play a game, you play around, you think that you will get over your stress, and then you'll start studying. But it's never one round of gaming, it always ends up being the entire night. So those nights I have felt that okay, I had regrets. I couldn't sleep well and I had exam the next morning. So I used to give my exams half sleepy.
Apart from the mental aspect of it and the fact that there's addiction to it, we've also spoken about the security aspect of it once. Does that still remain a concern, and how so?
That is one of the major concerns that we've been struggling with also, where we realize that though children are pro gamers, they're still not aware of how to identify content which is harassing them and how and where to report it and take a stand against. So this comes at various levels. I mean, we are also looking at understanding how the design of the game impacts children's minds. And I think that's where it needs to, a lot of thought needs to go in terms of, there's this concept of design, addiction by design. So whatever you see is designed in such a way that influences your mind and you start getting dependent on it. And that's what internet really works on. We've seen security breaches in all forms of games in terms of hacking. We've seen children hack other play platforms, or even if their platforms are hacked, children are unaware of what is to be done. So there are a couple of security breaches for sure, but at the same time, we've also realized that ratings is a major issue with gaming. So the concept of age rating is not there in India at all. There is an international age rating coalition, which is obviously where which India is not a part of. And what is a rating? A rating is more comprehensive when it talks about four things. One is what is the maturity of the game. So if a PUBG is 16 plus, why is it 16 plus? Because of the sexuality level, because of the content which is violent in the in the game. All of that determines the age of the game, and which is why a child above 16 can play a particular game. What is critical for us to teach parents and children is to justify to children कि ये गेम क्यों नहीं खेलना चाहिए. We obviously don't send our children to vote. We don't just send our children to learn driving under 18. In our experience of 10 years, we've seen when children, young children, are justified the reasoning behind why not to play a certain game. Children listen, children understand, children follow. बट आवर टेंडेंसीज तो भाई, तू मर जाएगा तो ये गेम खेलेगा तो मर जाएगा, या मेरा बच्चा घर से भाग जाएगा तो ये फेंक दे तू, दिस इज गोइंग टू किल ऑल ऑफ अस. And that is definitely not something children are going to digest because there is no justification to it at all. We had a case where a child had to learn colors. Colors dekhte dekhte, suddenly the child saw some nude picture which the child had to select the color of the dress to make her wear. And there was no need of nudity because it was aged 5 under. तो ऐसे गेम में अगर 5 साल के बच्चे को ये कंटेंट दिखाया जाता है, so there has to be some regulation which defines what the legalities behind gaming should be.
In fact, that brings me to the idea, to the topic of grooming, Nirali. That's
Yeah.
also a big concern, isn't it? The children say that they're playing with friends, but they actually don't really know who they're playing with.
Grooming is something very, very serious, and we really cannot ignore it. Grooming is happening at multiple platforms, and of course, gaming platform being one of them. When we're looking at platforms like gaming, where the way we can camouflage, the perpetrators camouflage is really very, very a big challenge today, to be able to identify and to be able to be alert. I had one of these young child's case where it was a very popular game we're all playing during the pandemic with this, and then how it happens is like one of the friends said that, okay, like, can I add my cousin? And then that cousin says that, okay, fine, one of my friends wants to add. So a group of 11 years old playing had, eventually someone at 19 and 20-year-old also joining. However, there is a common link. But it is not just the grooming, the other damage and the exposure is equally high. Now, there is a bit of aggression while we are playing. Now, when 11-year-old children are playing, the level of aggression is different, and when they are exposed to an aggression of 19-year-old and 18-year-old, so the entire vocabulary that these young kids are exposed to. So it's what I feel is the most challenging part in today's gaming culture online is the desensitization, and they are unable to let go, they are unable to keep virtues like patience. And because of all these traits, because of these kind of behaviors, these groomers are finding out these kind of loopholes to get in touch with these children on multiple platforms, gaming being one of those platforms. Now what we are heading towards, this whole metaverse, I mean, I'll give you an example of this game, Roblox. If you see, the other day, one
All
of
kids
my
are on it,
niece, yes, my niece was coming, and I was just looking at it. So the challenges that we are forcing are completely another level. Now, this young child, 10-year-old child, she had to select an avatar for herself. All the avatars are a full grown woman's body. There is nothing like a child left in that. So you are emotionally and physically creating a disconnect between the child. This entire image of a womanhood or of a girl is completely getting distorted. The time we spent with this avatar online is going to have a huge imprint on that young child at that particular age, being raised with a conflict. Which self do I accept? True.
Tushar, have you come across nudity when you're playing? Have you come across, really? I'm sure you have actually.
See, the thing is that some games are actually trying to reduce slurs as much as possible. Like if you like type a slur, it just hyphens it out, the entire slur. Like it's just stars.
Okay.
But the thing is that we are Indians. We know Hindi. The companies don't.
Regional, yes.
Like even if the company tries its level best, it cannot prevent the some slurs. There are certain situations like you can ban the person if he's abusing you on text or on voice, and his game will be banned for an entire week or an entire month. It depends.
And Tushar also, if you have strangers playing on the game on these multiplayer games with you, or
I
you may
have.
think somebody is suspicious. What do you guys do? Do you let the person continue to play? Do you report, or it doesn't matter?
It actually works like Instagram. You can just unfriend the person right away, and you can just block the person, you can report the person. There are multiple ways. So I don't go for the harsh ways. I just unfriend the person and we never play. But it does have a bright side because I have made some friends through online gaming who coincidentally like happen to live nearby. So I have made friends through gaming, but it's mostly like it's a hit and a miss thing. So it's mostly a miss.
And what are the loopholes, Sonali, that can't be
Oh,
plugged?
every level there are loopholes. I mean, there is no place where it is 100% guaranteed. Kind of complexities children are dealing with: academic, family, gaming, social media, being there, being famous, being active, yet not facing academic challenges. I mean, I think they're terribly multitasking, and I'm sure it gets to them. Most of the children don't are not able to reach out to help when they need help. And help does not
True.
mean कि तुम मर रहे हो या तुमको कुछ you have reached a point of no return. Very simple things. You're stressed because you're being bullied, or you're stressed because somebody is really defaming you online. माँ बाप को तो बता नहीं सकते ऑब्वियसली क्योंकि मार पड़ेगी या फिर गेमिंग बंद हो जाएगा, बट एट द सेम टाइम creating these platforms to open up and share, I think these are also so critical to building these support. Where does a youth or a child who feels terrible about himself or herself after having played a miserable game go? So I think this
Very
is
valid.
one of the biggest concerns, shaping up children towards a lot of mental health issues.
Point, yeah.
Desensitization I was talking about, it's
Yeah,
teenagers have any which ways been very, very mean people. Okay, I'm saying
yeah,
this very openly, and it's a fact. But
We've all
with
absolutely.
been
this
teens, so we
kind
know,
of
yes.
exposure,
Yeah.
true. But with this kind of exposure, the toxicity is going to another level
Yeah.
because it is digital. It's a disinhibition which is not going to let you actually feel for other person. You're not. You're just interacting through screens, which is making it far more harsh and very less human. The biggest missing over here is a rule book, is a mechanism to identify. Like Tushar said, the only thing you can do is just block
Yeah.
and move on. But what of that impact? It is as simple as flashing, okay? You're genuinely playing a game over there, and suddenly there is a bombarding of all these abuse, or you've been exposed to certain visuals or something. You have blocked it. But what do you do to clean it off your head? There is no mechanism. That's something really very, very
Unfortunately.
scary, and nobody is ready to take up that as a responsibility.
So I have like multiple YouTube examples. Like there were like there are sometimes it's aggression, sometimes it's utter happiness. It's like so once there was this guy Kari Minati who was having a live stream and he was gaming, could
Right.
not clear a level, and
Level.
he smashed his mouse, which sort of bounced over his computer screen, and it was like a 50,000 rupee damage. Then there was this guy, I don't remember his name. I think it was Roadshore. So he was playing FIFA. He unlocked a certain character. He was so happy. He bounced his chair off and it straight away hit his TV, and it was like a lakhs of rupees TV.
I think parents need to understand what they're letting the young children. I'm not talking about somebody who's Tushar's age. Is probably figured his way out gradually, done the whole nighters, the long nighters, and figured out what is right for him and not. But children as young as 4, 5, as you've been speaking about, I think parents need to decide for themselves whether it's the right thing that they're doing. Whether just letting your child relax for a little while is really a relaxation for that child or not.
I think Tushar plays a very important role here. माँ बाप की तो कोई सुनता नहीं है अपनी. But if people like Tushar are influencing younger people about responsible gaming, I think that plays the buck well. That is the influence that we're expecting younger people to have. So because Mummy Daddy ko samajhta nahi hai game, I will follow a gamer. So while the gamer can influence you correctly, at least I'll instill values of safe gaming, of responsible gaming in younger people. And I think that will bring in a lot of power and a lot of hygiene in terms of cyber wellness.
Tushar can actually leave a very good message for parents as well,
Correct.
because he's set a very beautiful example that been there, done that, you don't get stuck. And this is what we want to tell parents as well, that these are new age challenges. While we were growing up, we didn't have digital games, but there were different dangers in, and we all survived. So will your child. Don't, like, the moment the child plays 15 minutes extra, don't be that panicky that, oh my God, you're going to get addicted. This is end of the world. Your career is over. None of this. Look at him. He is
Yeah.
all bright and happy despite of, having experienced the other side as well. So I think that also message needs to go to a lot of younger parents who've newly become parents and all. They constantly are in that panic, and then that leads to a not very healthy relationship with the child. And you know how children are. The moment we tell them no, that's the first thing we want to do.
Another very critical thing Tushar brought in was his very clear-cut stand कि जब तक मैं पैसे नहीं कमाऊंगा, I will not invest in the game. These are stands which are very, very critical that need to go out to the younger people. These are stands that children can take for themselves, and these are messages that he can actually imbibe in younger people. I think it was so beautifully said. And withstand the bullying on it. कि हाँ, I'm very clear that मैं ये नहीं करने वाला. I think these trends are very important to set in younger people, and I'm sure there'll be children who will follow.
Yeah, I mean, I have to tell you, ladies, that I did give Tushar the option to not, to stay anonymous for a dark light and not show his face, but he was happy to do the reveal, as he said, and he was. So hopefully, Tushar, you've got more friends who want to speak up in the future. Send them our way.
Yeah, I was a victim of gaming. I still play some, like I play casually. I still play. I don't. I just can't stop. But the thing is that every human can set a limit to the gaming, right? They can try not to drown in that virtual world. So if you can do that, I think you are good enough to just survive any other obstacle of gaming.
Tushar, Nirali, and Sonali, everybody. Thank you so much, guys, for taking the time out. And
Thank you,
we'll
man.
keep these
Thank you,
conversations
Jyotsna.
continuing. But for now, I'm going to say bye and stay safe. And thank you again, guys. Thank you.